It is the Thursday after Christmas, and who better to entertain us after a day of football, food, and who knows what else than Bradford Ferguson? Bradford, how are you doing, and was your Christmas lovely?
Doing great. Had a great Christmas. Got some Tesla and nerdy type stuff for Christmas. So thankful for that. Took the car on a trip up to Southwest Chicago and back. So I can share my thoughts on my version 13 drive, and we
Well,
can talk some Tesla and
yeah,
Tesla stock.
yeah, let's talk FSD. Let's start with FSD. I think that's what's the most important thing. I mean, yes, I would think Optimus is ultimately the most important thing, but I think FSD is, leading to robotaxi. That's really probably what's driving the stock right now. You and I had something of a disagreement. I mean, I couldn't believe that you and I were not on the same page on something, but I was saying, that the stock is currently being driven, at least in part, by Optimus news that when Bank of America put out their note, and you
Mhm.
went, nah.
No, I think it's too far out. I think people seeing how good version 13 is. I think that's the main thing that's driven the stock since the stock was about 340. So we had that
Right.
huge post-election run up. And I think the news about V13 began to come out about a month ago. And people are seeing how good it is and making a lot of people believers and experiencing how good it is. I'm a little surprised after Christmas, after all the Tesla nerds of the world, including myself, had a chance to show family the new version that the stock is not up today. You
You're
got
gonna
to
think
say, hey, you know, Tesla's the future. Come on,
I
people,
know
let's
all
go.
those people should have gone out and bought some stock. What's wrong with them? So you were actually already in a battle with Gary Black, and I kind of interjected myself there because Gary Black, of course, thinks that the current run-up is all about Model Q, which is
Mm.
we've never seen. We have no idea what the spec is. We really don't know what the price is even going to be, and we don't know when it's coming out. But that would be his theory,
Yeah,
is
that and politics, yeah.
in politics, and all
And a little bit about, maybe some Wall Street investors saw version 13.
right, right, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. We can hope that maybe some Wall Street investors have actually literally gotten in a car with version 13 and driven around in it, but it's probably not true.
Well, the Deutsche Bank guy did go on a Tesla robotaxi road on a private road of Teslas.
Yes.
They didn't talk about trying it out on random cities or random highways.
Yeah, it would be nice if, well, I guess, the time will come when the truth will be
Mhm.
there. And in the meantime, we have information arbitrage advantage.
Yeah. We
So,
know the future.
we know the
Yeah,
future.
so I have had more time with version 13 and the Cybertruck version of it. The Cybertruck version of FSD that came out first for Cybertruck was not good. So the version 12.55 or whatever it is for Cybertruck, it was not good. It didn't know how big it was. It was like very clumsy, clipping curbs and driving in the middle of roundabouts. So like the inside curb of the roundabout, just things like that. And I drove my Cybertruck from Indianapolis to Chicago, and had two interventions, or
Mm,
no, three. Um, and one was where it kind of hung out in the middle of the split where there wasn't a lane and we needed to be on the left side. It wasn't yet dangerous, but I just intervened. There was one where there were some emergency vehicles on the right. They were stationary, so you're supposed to leave that next lane empty, or you're supposed to slow all the way down to 30 miles an hour. And we were in a left lane, and the car wanted to change into the right.
mm.
Um, so I intervened there. It wasn't safety critical, but it was something it shouldn't have done. And then another intervention was when it just straight up refused to change lanes. But that's kind of something we're used to with version 12. Sometimes it'll disobey a direct order. How could you do
Right.
that?
Yeah, I had
Um,
I had mine do
But
that today as well.
yeah, so there no safety critical interventions have I had yet with version 13. And then on the way back today, it took me all the way from Chicago to my office near Indianapolis with no interventions.
Hmm. Nice, nice.
Yeah.
And people are talking about it, of course, being smoother, more human-like. I just came down to San Diego today from Riverside. It's about 90 miles, and it was super smooth until like the last the last couple of miles. I had an emergency vehicle also, well, not an emergency vehicle, like a trash truck of some kind.
Mhm.
All of his flashing lights on, like his emergency flashers on, and the car was on the next lane over and was like, no, I don't know what to do here. Is he
I'm
going to pull
not
up the
sure.
lane? So I just accelerated past it. But earlier, just a couple of miles before that, there was a very tricky clover leaf where the oncoming traffic was coming down, and I needed to get over into that lane to go into the clover leaf. And there was a lot of cars and not very much space for that interaction to take place. And this is hardware 3 version, 5.4,
12 something. Yeah.
12.5.4, and it was better than I could have done. Didn't even like, it wasn't even pushy. Nobody was even mad.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's 12.5 is actually pretty darn good on
Yeah.
at this point. Well, that's
Version 13 is very, very good, and it's on the verge of becoming boring. And
boring.
that's exactly what you want. For us who have experienced a lot of FSD, it's becoming boring. But for people who are brand new to experiencing a Tesla, it's mind blowing for them.
Mind blowing. Yeah, mind
Yeah.
blowing. You're right.
And I think one exciting thing about the number of disengagements becoming less and less frequent and the fewer number of interventions is now when Tesla does get in disengagement, they can hone in on those issues even more.
Mm,
So what we're seeing from videos is it's correctly handling emergency vehicles that have their flashers on and the sound, even though it can't hear the sound maybe yet. It's handling that correctly now. It's handling school buses with their stop signs out and their red flashers on. Um, so they fixed a number of things, and now it's doing my drive to and from work perfectly now.
mhm.
So no interventions. It's just perfect now, and I love it. I love it. It's just like this feeling of peace comes over me when I engage the system. And a year ago, I could not complete, this is on version 11, I could not complete a single drive without like a serious disengagement and multiple interventions. Um, and now it's doing it perfectly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, 6 months ago, I didn't even use it. I'd use it on a longer trip. I might use it, but sometimes I would even just completely disengage. I was kind of nervous about it. But
Mhm.
now, it's no big deal. I don't use it for the 4/10 of a mile trip to the grocery store. Is that okay?
No,
You
you
think I'm a
should.
bad, you think I'm a bad, a bad influencer, a Tesla influencer if I don't use it for a
No, no,
round trip?
that's all right. Um, but I do think like if you're watching this and you have $1 million position in Tesla, you really owe it to yourself to have a hardware 4 vehicle. Bite that bullet and really consider upgrading to a hardware 4 vehicle. You can get the FSD subscription so you can save the money for other things, but I think Randy knows what I'm meaning to say here. You could save the money from FSD and put it where instead?
Put it maybe in stocks. I don't know.
Oh, okay, you said it,
It could
so
happen.
not me.
So
So like I think that's an idea people should consider is
the base model right now, after all the discounts, if you go right on the website, because I just went on to show my brother, base model Model 3, 29.9, 299 a month
Mm.
lease. If I was buying it, man, I would put the performance on there
Yeah.
and I would buy, of course, FSD. I wouldn't be paying no $100 a month. But anyway,
Uh,
yeah, so very good deals this week for anybody who's thinking about getting one. This would be a great time. Now, I wouldn't buy, personally, I wouldn't buy the Model Y this week. I'd be waiting for the Juniper.
yeah.
It's going to
Well,
be
let's talk about that in a second.
okay.
I do want to say something I realized this morning
Yeah.
is that the version 13 doesn't yet have the models that are 3 times as big. It
Hmm.
doesn't yet have 3 times the context window. Those features are coming up. They're still further down on the list. So I wonder if this version V13 can fit and run on hardware 3 vehicles. And I say that because they're not yet using a much bigger model as far as, they're communicating. They're not yet using 15 seconds of context length rather than 5.
Right.
So I'm real curious what they're able to accomplish with hardware 3. But I think now is a really important time for people to understand where Tesla is. That's why I mention it. Um, so let's talk about the Model Y, and we can come back to Tesla valuation by the end.
Sure, sure.
So there's rumors coming out of Shanghai that Tesla is making 200 Model Y per day.
Right.
Um, might be a different Model Y than they made last month in China. Don't want to upset anyone. I want to get the invite to the event. Um, so I think that's fairly exciting. You could have a significant drop in production once they fully change over. But this is Tesla Shanghai, so they're very good at ramping. Um, they've they basically stopped. They said they were sold out
Right.
for the Model Y that they're
For
making
this year. Yeah.
for this year. We don't yet know if they're going to keep selling that model next year. If not, there could be a huge temporary drop. But
Right.
here's what I expect from the new Model Y. And the reason we know this is we saw what happened with the new Model 3 is Tesla was able to drop their cost
Mhm.
and make it a more premium product for the customer. So they made the new Model 3 quieter. They made the seats better. They made the trim nicer on the inside. And they put a screen in the back. Um, so, all those things add up. The
You
trim
left
looks nicer
you
on the
left
outside.
off, but you left off by far the most important thing because you're not a Model Y driver.
I am a Model Y driver.
I thought you weren't. Okay. Well,
I have one.
the number one negative thing on the Model Y to me, to my wife, to almost
The
everybody
suspension.
is the suspension.
I took your line. Sorry. Yeah, it's the Model Y definitely needs an upgraded suspension. So like it'll be a much better vehicle. And last year it was the best-selling car in the world. I think it still is,
Yes,
right?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Um, so you're gonna take the best-selling car in the world and greatly upgrade it, and Tesla's cost somehow lower through
Yeah.
all this.
Yeah.
Um, so lower cost, higher value to the customer. That's what you want in an investment. That's what you want in a business.
Sure.
Um, that's what creates monopolistic type power. So I'm excited about the Model Y
Very,
coming
very,
out of
very exciting.
Shanghai. What are your thoughts on it?
Oh no, I again we're so far into the future. I mean, we're living in the future basically. We still have our order in for our Cybertruck, assuming that they ever offer it at 60,000 or thereabouts, we'll get a Cybertruck. We might keep the Model Y and put it out to work, out there as a as a robotaxi. But I'm already thinking about. I'm past all that. We only have one car, if we both need a car on the same day, I'm going to take a cybercab. Or some kind of a autonomous vehicle. So I'm
You
past car ownership. I'm okay with the, and I'm
you
not,
ready?
and it's not because I'm too old or my eyesight is going. It's because it's like, why own a car? I work out of my home. What do I need a car for? So I got rid of my lovely, I really did like my Volvo, even if
Mhm.
it was a nice car. But no, I'm in the future, man.
I think I think now is a great time to be, saving some money too. So you're talking about, selling an asset and you would get some cash from that.
Yeah, if you buy
Um,
stock.
yeah. And I do feel with the combination of AI in our software and AI um, in our cars and hardware, automation that's coming to the factories, that now is a great time to be adding to your shares.
That would be
And
investable.
I'm not just talking about Tesla shares. It could be other AI companies. Yeah, this is like generic financial
Generic
advice,
financial advice.
like financial planning type advice.
Well, speaking of financial planning,
Mhm.
I famously, went off the reservation slightly and bought a few shares of Tesley, TSLY, which is an ETF, which invests in and uses calls of various kinds, I guess, and puts and whatever else in order to try to provide a regular ongoing dividend to the folks that follow it. And quite frankly, I've owned it for 3 months and I've got my dividend every month at about 75% a year, annualized, and the stock has gone up. So I'm pretty happy. But you just told me, Randy, sell your Tesla and buy shares. You would do so much better. Go ahead. Tell me the story.
Yeah, so I did a video about TSLY last summer of 2023. We did a back test on a bunch of cover call strategies. And the tactic that TSLY is doing has actually destroyed significant value over time. So we found that if you had employed it the 10 years leading up to the time of our video, um, it would have destroyed 75% of your Tesla shares. So, versus your Tesla shares. Then I looked at the performance of TSLY versus Tesla, uh, both last year and this year. So if you sold Tesla at the beginning of last year, you bought TSLY the same day, and then owned it, and then rebought your Tesla shares at the end of the year, you would have lost 23% of your Tesla shares. So you would have lost 23% of your money. Then this year, or no, it's 24%. This year, uh, effectively, you would have lost 22% of your shares. And I could talk a little bit about the exact performance. So in 2023, Tesla was up like 101% or
Mhm,
102%.
mhm, mhm,
TSLY was up 70 and or 50.5%.
Okay.
So literally it had half of the gain of Tesla. Um, then in 2024, so this year, TSLY is up 44% year to date. So that includes the dividend, Randy.
Okay, including the
Uh,
dividend.
but Tesla is up 86%. Um, and so when you do the math on that, effectively you lost 22% of your Tesla shares right there.
Man.
So I don't think it's a good product, and I think it was a bit predatory actually how they brought the product to market. So in 2022, Tesla stock was down 75% at one point. Maybe it finished the year down that much.
Mhm.
Um, and it was like one of the worst years ever to be a Tesla shareholder.
Right.
Extremely, extremely painful. Um, so this TSLY, it did better in 2022. So I think it did better by like 20 some percent or something like that. So instead of being down 75%, it would have been down like 44% or something like that. So not as bad. And so I think that's why they trotted out the product, and it's just not it's a raw deal.
It's a raw deal. Now,
Yeah.
compared to, let's say, owning Ford, it might be a really good deal. It's just compared
Yeah,
but compared to owning Tesla, it's not a good deal. Okay.
that's right. And
Uh,
the Rebellionaires that we work with, you know, their high bar is how Tesla is performing.
right, of course. Yes.
Hmm.
In order to convince them that they should do anything else, then it has to be something that consistently could beat Tesla.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. All right.
Or has like a
I
reasonable hope.
Yeah, all right, okay. So speaking of Tesla stock, we finally had a day off. Well, we had a day off last week, a really big day off last week. And then we had some days that were very, very good. We were looking like we were going to maybe in the overnights, it looked like we might be heading toward the all-time high again. And then when the market opened, it just went south and kept going south until it was down $9 or something for the day. So I was driving and doing other stuff. I really didn't pay attention to whether there was any news or whether this was just like an exhaustion rally or taking profits or Kathy Wood might have sold.
Yeah, I didn't really see much negative news around Tesla myself.
Yeah.
Um,
So
so
I,
I
I,
think maybe is a bit of exhaustion. There was some buying the previous night and the previous morning. So the stock was really strong going into that, but then it faded a bit.
so overall, Bradford, I don't know if I said this to you last week, but I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now. I feel, first of all, nobody thought it was going to be this high now. I mean, no,
Right.
not even Brian Wang. He said 450 by the end of
Just
January.
just
So
you, Randy.
no, I didn't say this. No, I was 410 by the end of January. I was all-time high by the end of January. So no, nobody, not a soul called
Mhm.
this. So to be sitting here at 460, whatever it is right now, it already feels to me like we're pushing the bounds of reasonable valuation. So
Mhm.
my theory is that we will trade in a range 410 to 480, could be a little off on that range, but roughly in that range until we have some kind of breakout news. That could be the numbers on Tuesday. I mean, I'm sorry, on next Thursday. That could be the numbers on the 22nd of January. That could be the Juniper coming out in China. That could be, there's a whole bunch of things that could happen that would potentially give it the next jolt up or jolt down. But otherwise, I have a hard time seeing it trading outside that range. Does that make any sense to you, or am I just, eating the wrong spaghetti?
I understand what you're saying, but the problem that I have is our valuation on Tesla's base business plus, robotaxi really getting started. That brings our current valuation on Tesla to 1,500 per share. Like that's what we think it's worth
Right now.
the moment that they start robotaxi.
Oh, okay. The moment they start robotaxi. Okay.
Yeah. So we don't think that's suddenly what Wall Street will agree to, or the public will be able to sustain, or that the bulls will necessarily push it to for a day. But that's what we think it's worth. And it's a conservative robotaxi valuation that doesn't include any licensing, for one.
Well, okay, we
Um,
need to we need to put that on the board then. That puts you at the top of the leaderboard. Nobody's at 1,500 on day one for robotaxi. So I'm
well,
gonna,
that's what we think it's worth. We don't
oh,
think
okay.
it's necessarily going to go
It's a
there.
stock will go there. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm at roughly 800 on day
yeah.
one that robotaxi comes out. I mean, that's what I think the stock will actually sell for.
Hmm. So I do think it's now possible the stock will be $1,000 about 2 years from now.
2 years from now. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. And that would include
and
at that time Optimus. Optimus is selling, but it's only only $1,000.
Well, so Optimus, they're looking to make 1,000 next year,
So,
which I think would be meaningful within Tesla. Um, I think Tesla should make more for their own purposes, but that's just me.
well, they said they
I
start.
guess they do need a robot minder for each one or each group of each pod. Um, but yeah, the year after next, they should start to be mass producing Optimus. I gotta think worst case they would have everything nailed down by then.
2026. Yeah.
And then you're unlocking our Optimus
Right.
valuation,
Okay.
which is like $3,400 a share, once
Yeah,
they really start on it.
I see. Okay.
Um, so um we'll see what happens and like how soon they, do make their first 1,000. But I think that's the risk to, thinking about trading ranges. I don't think people should necessarily get, FOMO and
Right.
bet everything and sell their house and their car and put it all in Tesla stock.
Right.
Um, but I think it's an incredibly exciting time. Version 13 seems to be the real deal, and the number of issues they have left is greatly shrunk.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. No kidding. The issues are definitely shrunk. Okay. So what else? Do we have anything else on our list? Because you have the list today. I don't.
Yeah, so I just shared a bit about valuation
Right.
and I think you said 2030 the
That,
valuation would be 10,000.
that would be
So
that would be
yeah,
the actual that would be the actual
yeah,
share.
share price. Yeah, so I would actually agree with that.
Okay.
Um and you might actually be a little low. If both Robotaxi and Optimus are kicking off, essentially we think the stock is worth, just under 5,000 once Optimus gets going. Uh, and then you take just a cost of equity or an expected return off a volatile stock like Tesla, and you get to 10,000 pretty easy by 2030.
All right.
So maybe a little past that. You might be conservative, Randy.
I know. I know. This
We've
would
reached the day I think I can quit my work here. I'm more optimistic than you.
more optimistic than Randy Kirk. So Warren Redlick, he and I
I
used
don't
to.
think I could beat Warren though.
Well, no, but Warren said the other day he doesn't think that they would make 1 million in 2027. And I'm like, Warren, how can they not make a million Optimi in 2027? They could ramp a car to 1 million in 2027
Mm.
from using the same plan. And I'm like, it's got to be easily 1 million in 2027. He's like, no, I don't. I think that'll be more like 2029. I'm like, what? Warren, what's happened to you? Anyway, well, I was so my brother and sister-in-law where I'm staying right now, my 98 and a half year old mother lives with them, and she has some dementia, and they also have an adult son that requires care. I told them that I thought that 5 years from now, that they would be able to have an Optimus for $30,000 that probably could be a great companion. They would
Mhm.
never get bored talking to either one of them. That would be able to help them with bathing, maybe, and toileting if necessary. Would be able
Getting
to
in and out of bed. Yeah.
getting it out of bed and also would free them up to leave the house and go someplace, certainly for the evening on dates,
Hold their hand with a firm grip.
but maybe they'd be able to they might be able to leave the house for a weekend or for a week, which would be like really amazing without having to hire some expensive person to come in and watch after them. And this was probably the most impressive thing I've ever told them about Tesla's future.
And the reaction was
I said that's probably the most they know
they
everything
said
about it.
that.
They said this is they were like, oh my gosh, that would be life life-changing for them, much more than autonomous cars would be
Uh-huh.
life-changing for them.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So Gary Black wanted to know whether it was worth $30,000 to the average family. Okay, they're a little beyond average in terms of their wealth and income, but they thought 30,000 would be cheap if they got that value.
Hmm.
So I think Elon might have picked a winner.
With humanoid robots or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure. For sure.
All right. So was there now you told me about Tesley, but you also had suggested in the green room that maybe you had some other thought with regard to covered calls because you had given us a little bit of advice about covered calls a couple of weeks ago, or last week. No,
Hmm.
yeah, last week. And was there anything that you thought maybe you left out or that you wanted to add to that from last time? Or
Well, I'll just add that I recorded a couple of videos we're going to put on rebellionaire.com on our YouTube channel on Rebellionaire YouTube channel. So look for those over the next couple of days. One of them is just a primer on what is a Tesla cover call.
okay, there you go.
Uh, and then the next one, I'm forgetting what the second one I did. Oh, I did the second one's about TSLY in a video form.
Oh, okay, okay.
Um, so look forward to that. I'm going to do some other things. I'm just hearing more stories of people who aren't handling their cover calls very good. And I'm just, sharing, how we do it a little differently and why. Um, so one of the things I heard about recently is when you have a cover call that goes against you, you can delay taking a loss by selling another call that where the expiration's further out
Sure.
and the strike is higher.
Right,
That's called rolling out.
right.
And so people, let's say the call you sold this week is worth $5.
Mhm.
Or let's say it's stung a little more, so it's worth 10, and you don't want to pay that $10 to get out of it. People will roll out and up in order to generate some income to pay for that call that didn't work in their favor.
Right,
And this is a problem because Tesla, as we've seen numerous times, especially in 2020, also in 2021, but we've seen it make these huge moves off of bottoms. But um, Tesla is very streaky, and when it's going through these revaluations, it's just like week after week, it makes these moves, and maybe one week it goes down or doesn't go much anywhere. So when you short a cover call and it has a longer expiration, you're giving Tesla more time to just continue to march higher. Um, and then that call that you could have bought back, let's say for $10, it's now worth 40
right,
or 50 or 60. And so we don't believe that in order to get out of a cover call that didn't work, because not all of them work. It's not just some money tree or
right.
money glitch. Um, we think people should just take their medicine and buy back the short call.
Right. Yeah. So trade, take your medicine, and then treat your next trade as if it was the first day you ever
Brand
traded.
new. Yep.
It's brand new from start. Is it a good deal today? Does this make sense to me today? Are the
Mhm.
are the metrics right? Is the risk reward analysis correct? As if you'd never traded the stock before. Yeah, that's my
Yep.
philosophy. Yeah.
And if you stick to weekly, it allows you to ratchet when the stock's running higher, it allows you to ratchet your strike prices higher each week.
Mhm.
And that just allows you to be able to do it a little better than where you push things out. Um, the other thing people don't want is like when you have a losing week, they don't want to go into the next week having sold their stock, even if it's in an IRA or a Roth account.
Right.
So we don't just let the short calls be exercised on us. So we do things to protect against that.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And So our rebellion, part of our rebellionaire service is a done for you cover calls, and we do it on a near weekly basis.
Got
There's
it.
some weeks that we skip, but it's a near weekly basis.
Interesting. All right. Okay, so let's see. Other than that, we are going into the new year. Um, just for fun, have you heard from your partner over there as to what he's thinking is going to happen on the 22nd? Do we believe, as Brian Wong does, that the margins will get above 20? Or do you think like, who was it told me the other day? Oh, I think it wasn't Larry. I think it was, um, must have been, I can't, anyway, one of our co-hosts who thought it would be maybe even under last time, under 17 or something. Have you got a margin call yet for January?
Yeah, Matt did not give me one yet. Yeah, I kind of agree with Larry. So there was some discounting that Tesla did
Right.
that'll get in the way of some of the positive developments, like people buying a bunch of Tesla cars because their Tesla stock went up so much. Um, Matt thinks like a good number might be like that happened for like 20,000 people. That might be a little strong.
Oh,
Maybe
interesting.
that's a high end, but
Yeah, yeah,
that could have provided a significant boost this year.
right.
Um, yeah, I think there's a little concern about Cybertruck, and there is a rumor that Tesla has a single motor at the ready.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard that rumor yet. That's news. Okay.
Mhm.
The single motor Cybertruck I doubt if it'll be 60,000 first day, but at least
No,
maybe 60,000 by spring.
it
We'll see.
could be 69 420 though,
Almost certainly. Almost
but it
on.
would probably have fewer batteries. So they might knock down the range or something like that. Um, so I don't know how soon that will come, but I know Cybertruck was a concern. Um, yeah, China was very strong throughout the quarter. And I believe it was a quarter over quarter improvement, so that helps.
Yes, yes.
Also, more units generally from Tesla does cause that cost to be spread out over more,
Right.
over like a same amount of depreciation.
Oh,
So that lowers your cost per car. That's called fixed cost absorption. I'm surprised Larry didn't agree with that one, but
well,
oh well.
I think Larry might even agree with all of the reasons that I gave why it could be going up. The question was whether the other reasons are overwhelming it and
Uh,
cause a slippage. And I don't think Larry had actually done the numbers yet. I think he was more or less just kind of, you know,
yeah.
doing it off the top of his head. But
Looking at the puts and takes, yeah.
yeah, I don't ever do the numbers. I let everybody else do the numbers, and then I skim off of their numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a valid thing to do where you look at their numbers and think to yourself, okay, are they being reasonable? Are they being
Yes.
optimistic? Are they factoring this in? So that's kind of how I used to do some of my analysis, and I mean, that helped me do really very well in Tesla.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, Wall
Again,
Street's way too low on this.
so if somebody else is going to go to the work to look up all the registrations and to figure out how many cars are sitting on boats and what in which harbor and which market and what the price is in that market, if somebody's going to do all that work, I don't know why I should redo it. I don't think I'm going to do it better than them.
No.
So I'd rather look at that number and say, well, but did you take into consideration? And then maybe add a little or subtract a little. And also take
Yeah.
into consideration their personality. So is that person likely to be more conservative or likely to be more optimistic? And so
Mhm.
maybe my shaving one way or the other might have to do with their personality. So anyway, right now I'm going with Brian Wong because Brian is Brian is white more than he's wrong, and so I'm thinking that Brian's right. And besides, I'm an optimist, so beating 20% would be so much fun. I mean, let's face it. Come on, we'd all be smiling like ear to
Beating 20% margins, yeah.
beating 20% margins on January
Mhm.
22nd would be absolutely, you know, we'd all you might even break out some of your tequila.
That's right. We had our company party recently, and I did open a bottle of
You
the
did.
original Tesla tequila, the Añejo.
And was it tasty?
Is Yeah, it's very good. Yeah,
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. For that kind of money, it better be good.
it's very good. It's a sipping tequila. It's
A
actually a
sipping
fine
tequila. Fine.
tequila. Yeah,
You,
it's
you don't use
legit.
it. You don't use it for your margarita and kill it with salt, huh?
No, no, it did not.
Okay. All right, let's look at the no. Oh no, you don't look at the numbers. I
No,
forgot.
I'll do the numbers because I want to share an
Oh,
idea with you after this,
all right. So we
after
got
we stop.
okay, we got Tesla today. We got Tesla was down 8.15 and in the after hours down another buck 83. And I thought it doesn't even bother me. I think it'll probably be back up tomorrow. That's just me. We've got the Dow, which started down, went up, and then stayed right about zero for most of the day, ended up 28. NASDAQ, same thing, did almost exactly the same thing, but ended down 10. And the S&P almost did the same thing and ended up down 2.45. So barely, barely down. And the Mag 7, except for Apple, was all down. The Cathie Woods were all up. Now, why were the Cathie Woods up? Why do you think? Because at the end of the session, the bonds started selling. People started saying, oh, I guess maybe it's gone high enough. So we ended up on the bonds today under 4.6, making Randy happy. So the bonds are the bane of my existence. These bond folks are trying to tell us that either they're scared of the federal government spending too much money and trying to borrow too much money, or that they're afraid that inflation hasn't been cured, or there's a bunch of central banks that are not buying the bonds right now, or all three, or maybe a fourth thing I'm not thinking of. But any one of those things is not good, and I think it's trying to kill the Christmas rally.
The Scrooge has come, huh?
Yes.
Steal all the presents.
But at the end of the day, it did
Kids are
finally.
having too much fun.
So, so anyway, but it is up 0.4%. I'm just going to give you the 10-year tonight. The 10-year is up 0.4%. I mean, so 0.4 of a basis point, but it's still under 4.6 for the day at 4.583. You have any thoughts on the bonds?
Not really,
Not
no.
really. Oil unchanged. I'm sorry, unch. When you're on, it's unch. Yeah, unch. Natural gas, unch. So oil is Texas Intermediate still under 70. That's good. Gold, unch. 2651, pretty much in the middle of its range. Silver staying above 30. Not much to say there. So now we get to Bitcoin. Is this what you wanted to talk about?
Head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Yeah, I think that was it. So we're down 30, whoops, down 3,300 for the day. 95,753, and go ahead.
Well, it's looking a little like the chart is not looking good for Bitcoin. So I'm not a technical analysis guy, but um I start to pay a little more attention. It looks like a head and shoulders on the daily. That's where it kind of does a shoulder and then a head, and then it start started a shoulder again, and typically that means you're going down from there. Also, if the past patterns of Bitcoin play out where it's hit prior highs, it may start, somewhere around December 30th. Um, so I'm curious to see how that plays out. People they're playing this MSTR, they're playing a leverage version of it, they're playing a max yield version of it. It just seems very speculative right now.
And some of the speculation has to do with MSDR in general. Some of it has to do with the US government potentially using it as a storehouse of value. Cern
Mhm.
Basher and I will be talking about the entire business of Bitcoin as a storehouse of value on Saturday, Friday night, maybe.
Ooh, okay.
Friday night, maybe. Tonight, we're
I'll
talking.
have to listen to CERN's case that he makes.
Yeah, Cern and I will be talking about something else tonight. I don't remember what now, but it'll be on at 7:45. But we'll be talking about that'll probably be tomorrow night on Bitcoin. So speaking of Head and Shoulders, though, didn't Tesla also have some kind of a technical pattern similar, but which would be the opposite, a break up? Did you see that or not?
Well, if it's like a inverse head and
Yeah,
shoulders, I don't know if that maybe it had that because it did dip all the way down to 420 a share. It hit that. What was that? December 18th or no, December 19th.
right.
Um, so I'll have to check that out.
Okay. All
Maybe
right.
it's hit a inverse golden cross or like a golden cross or a inverse head and shoulders.
Yeah, I don't understand any of that stuff. I have my what I call my little, barriers that it can't get past, and I have my little barriers on the
Your
low side that I can
candles,
just that's I don't
your
even call
walls, your
it a
support,
wall. Yeah, wall.
resistant and support.
Yeah, I have this
Yeah.
very simplistic way of looking at the technical side of
Mhm.
what happens, and I've been using that since I was 21 years old. First stock I ever traded was Fairchild Camera and Instrument, which was putting the cameras on the satellites
Oh, cool.
back in the day, back in the late 60s, early 70s, and it was just like Tesla. It would go up and then it would come
Did
down.
it become Fairchild Semi?
It might have. It's possible. We could look that
Okay.
up.
Or
Yeah,
maybe it was.
it might have been. Yeah, yeah. But it's called Fairchild Camera and Instrument at the time. All right, the equities. The Dow is down 50 or 0.11. S&P is down 9 or 0.15. NASDAQ is down 36 or 0.16. So kind of similarly down, but not really very much. So you have the floor. You wanted to hang in with me for the numbers. So was there more?
Well, I want to talk after this, but he is Randy Kirk. He's the author of multiple books on Elon Musk. I think at least three.
No,
You
two,
got
two,
the
just two.
Elon Musk, what do we
Mission
have?
and method. Mission and the Elon
And
Musk
method.
method. Yeah.
Nice. So two books on Elon Musk, multiple books on business, serial entrepreneur, and you've consulted over 400 small businesses, probably more than that. You
400. Yeah, yeah.
you probably just used to saying 400. It's probably more than that now. We're going higher than that. So you should definitely subscribe to Randy. He has interesting people on. Love Tesla, Larry, and Cern Basher. Uh, Brian White isn't too bad. Brian Wong is a definite futurist and visionary, and
Bradford, I mean, and Bradford Ferguson is not bad. And then there's that guy, Nicholas, the young guy.
mhm,
He's even younger than you. I mean, there's not many
yeah.
people, out there that are already so well established as a trader. And he's been trading since he was 16 or something.
So
Quite the lineup.
that's right. So uh, let's
X2
get us
got,
a sign off,
well, wait a minute.
Randy.
Follow me on X2. I'm like 150 short of getting to 10,000.
Well,
I'm way behind because I didn't start till like 4 months ago. I need to,
maybe we should get you the Rebellion Air badge on X.
maybe you should. Is that free?
I might be able to give you a complimentary one. This is for Tesla creators, people
Yes.
who are creating a lot of content around Tesla. So,
I would be honored to be a rebellionaire.
all right, let's do it.
All right. Are we done?
Well, you gotta click stop.
Oh, well, yeah,
You
that's
gotta sign off.
oh, signing off. You mean where I go, it's been great talking to you. Oh, no, oh, wait, I forgot. No, wait a minute. First, I have to say, hey, Bradford, thank you so much for coming on the show and helping us to better understand all of these complicated, well, they're not even that complicated, but for you, they're probably. Thanks, Bradford, for coming on. And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.